Right, hello everybody. This is the first of our series of videos for hopefully members' favourite flies or possibly techniques that they might be struggling with. You'll have to bear with me. I'm not used to this, so if I make a mistake then just bear with me. Right, so today I'm going to do a Diawl Bach with goose bites. You could call it a jungle cock substitute, but these are little wing buds, cheeks on the fly, which give it that, I think, that little bit of extra. It's just going to be a basic standard pattern, but I am going to do something slightly different, and that is attempt to tie in the beard hackle first, so that it gives us a nice flared effect without compromising the eye position. So I put on a foundation thread about sort of 2.5, 3 mil back from the eye, and I'm going to choose a hen hackle from this cockabundu. You can see the coloration is a bit variegated, and gives quite a nice effect. And I say the reason we're using the hen hackle is that it just gives it a little bit more movement. So having removed a bit of the fluff, I'm just going to take a small bunch, pull the hackles out, hackle fibres out from the stem, hold them together and just twist it off. So I'm going to tie that in underneath the shank with the fibres pointing forward. So little pinch and loop, a little bit tricky, especially when you've got builder's hands like me. Place those so they've splayed around the hook. Let's check that out. Okay, and then binding those down to point opposite the hook point, and I'm going to tie in a similar material for the tail. Just a small bunch. It just gives it a little bit of mobility on this fly. So I'm offering those up about 3/4 of the length of the shank. Pinch and loop. I'm using this gel spun polyester thread, and it's really quite strong. This is 70 denier, Viva's 70 denier, but with dry fingers it catches the fibres and causes all sorts of aggravation. Okay, for the rib I'm going to be using this pale orange. It's Sibian flat wire, something I picked up at the BFFI. Quite useful if you're looking for something a little bit wider but without the weight. So placing that underneath the hook, shank, and a couple of turns to secure it, and then we're going to use a peacock curl, which is quite a small peacock curl. I don't want a lot of flue on this. You can remove the flue if you need to, a little bit, but that's about what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to remove the delicate end and then tie that in, and then come forward in touching turns, just making a solid foundation, binding all those fibres in as you go. and taking that through to the hackle position. And then I'm going to use just a small amount of super glue to help bed those peacock herl in and give it a little bit of strength, because the trout's teeth tend to wreck the peacock herl. Just going to park my bobbin holder, and then I'll use my rotary vise, but I found that the first couple of turns you just want to be very, very careful that it doesn't break, and then I can use the rotary, just making sure I don't catch the point in the peacock herl. Just coming through, touching turns basically, giving it a little bit of concentration of material, and then we'll tie that off a couple of turns, and then should be able to just break that waste off. So we wound that clockwise, so I want to do this anti-clockwise, so I'm going to rotate the vise in the other direction. It's giving me about 4, perhaps 4.5 turns. And then tie that off. Just notice the peacock herl has just come undone a little bit. Fortunately it okay, so now we're going to reverse the fly and then bring the thread in front of the beard hackle, and then start to bind it down. And I want it to splay a little bit, but you don't want to take it too tight an angle to the shank. It wants to stand out about 45 degrees, perhaps a little bit less. So then I'm going to build up a little bit of a head, not too big, just enough to give it a little bit of definition, and then we're going to tie the goose biots on. I'm using sunburst yellow goose biots. And pull the couple off, and I'm just going to remove the very tip. You can see they're pointed, and there wouldn't be a lot of definition if I was just to tie that in, so just a little bit of a snip to take the very point off, and then they've got a slight curve, so we're going to place that against the shank and tie it in on the side, and a couple of turns to more or less get the position right. Do the same with the other one. Remove the very tip, turn the hook in the vise or rotate it, and then offer it up and tie it in. Oops. A couple of turns and draw them out to length. going to just spin this up so I can then bind down fairly tight, and then hopefully tear off the quill, goose bite, and then finally a little bit of varnish. And just put it on the thread and on the head, and then winding over that varnish. Remove surplus. And there we have the Jungle Cock substitute Diawl Bach. Hope you enjoyed it. Of course there's many variations on this fly, but this is one that I quite like. It's got nice slim profile, which is really what I like in my flies. Hope you do too. Enjoy!